Well, look who it is. Fancy meeting you here on YouTube. Thanks for tuning in to the Daily Space Weather, a regular feature of the Smash News Network, least busted name in news. First thing we're checking out here is the sun in 335 angstroms. We've got a massive number of sunspots. Likelihood of solar flares remains very, very high. We've got a small uptick in solar activity. Radio flux now at 154 solar flux units. 2 new sunspots have risen in the east. It's good times for those of you paying attention to space weather. So we've got a high-speed coronal hole wind stream striking as well. Current conditions are over 500 kilometers per second for the solar wind velocity. We've recently seen another uptick. Anyway, this is the Earth geospace for the past 4 hours, modeled in magnetohydrodynamic pressure, or nanopascals. Earth's magnetic moment out to about 12 Earth diameters. Here's Earth's magnetic moment from the ground, modeled in nanotesla magnetic flux density. Like the last frame, the Geospace Magnetosphere movie, this ground magnetic perturbations map is the last 4 hours. And things fairly geomagnetically calm here despite the ongoing high-speed coronal hole wind stream. So we'll let that play all the way through for your viewing pleasure. Number 1, I order you to take a number 2. Engage! KP index is at 3. So there you have it, geomagnetically calm conditions. We saw a brief period of geomagnetic unrest early in the day tomorrow. Since then, not a lot going on in terms of geomagnetism, despite the high-speed stream. So we've also recently seen an uptick. Solar wind made it down to about 480 kilometers per second, and now it's back up well into the 500s at about nearly 550 kilometers per second. Solar wind density has been pretty steady here over the past 24. Current conditions are about 10.5 protons per cubic centimeter. And let's get into some magnetic data. Here are the GOES magnetometers over the past 3 days. You can see some spikes in there. A divergence happening just after midnight for the GOES 16. You can see an uptick in the GOES 16 while we saw a downtick for the GOES 17 at that same moment, essentially. And the GOES 16 and 17 are geosynchronous satellites with a near equatorial orbital location. Let's take a look at the heliospheric current sheet. There may be a South Pole current sheet headed our way. At the moment, Earth is solidly in a North Pole current sheet. Enough said about that. Here's the line of sight view. Massive amount of magnetic organization in the earthly facing portion of the solar disk. Let's move on to coronal holes and sunspots. Here's a coronal hole line of sight plot. Those blue lines are the sun's B field. The B field being the field that goes through a magnet, this magnet being the sun. And we've got some South Pole oriented coronal holes rotating in here. Following those North Pole ones. So you see those red areas, those are South Pole oriented coronal holes there. And yeah, likelihood of solar flares really high, folks. We've got some majorly underperforming sunspot groups. They're very complex. We'll get to it in a moment. First, 193 angstroms from the SDO. And we can expect ongoing coronal hole high-speed streams here for the next day or two. And then probably a slight reduction. We're going to see an increase in the electron flux, and then a second pulse. Anyway, let's get the sunspots. We're going to have like 10 named sunspot groups here. You've got 3006, 3007, 3013, 3010, 3011, 3014, and we've got 2 new groups. So there's one right here that's not named yet, and there's one down here that's only an alpha class sunspot. That's not named yet. So yeah, we're going to have like 10 or 11 sunspot groups. It's pretty spectacular. It's grand. And it's not a grand solar minimum. Next, looking at 1700 angstroms. And you've got these fairly stable sunspot groups here over the past 24. Again, they are underperforming in terms of solar flares. As this group here approaches the limb, it'll become more likely to produce flares. Enough said about that. Did you know that we're also on BitChute? We've been putting up our meteorology segments primarily on BitChute lately. Today, not sure. There may be one on our playlists. So check out our playlists at at youtube.com/smashamash as well. You can find links to everything on our homepage at smashamash.com. We also stream regularly live to Twitch. By the time you view this on YouTube, we probably already streamed 2 videos to Twitch. Twitch.tv/smashamash. Thanks to our followers over there. Thanks most of all to the Smash team. Smashamash.com/Smash team. Give Smash staff a raise. Maybe pick up some merch. Links to that at the homepage as well. Smashamash.com/Smash team. A replacement for Patreon with a superior website. We're also on Twitter. If you're not on Twitter, get on Twitter. Why not? It's not fixed by any stretch of the imagination. The pathetic censorship is still certainly in full effect. On Twitter, we only have 254 followers despite 12,000 tweets since 2019. Interesting, right? Today's featured product is Universum Liberate. Yes, it's the motto of the Galactic Federation Special Forces. The symbolism represents, well, the key represents signal strength and security. The lightning bolt represents galactic scale reach and instantaneous abilities. The bright, luminous part there in the upper right is a secret, and the spiral represents the Milky Way galaxy. Anyway, once again, I would say to you, Universum Liberate, the motto of the Galactic Federation Special Forces. If you're sick of what's going on Earth and sick of what's going on in space, well, maybe you need to become a member of the Galactic Federation Special Forces. If I could wave my magic wand, I'd set everybody free. In the meantime, I'll just say, Universum Liberate. Again, links to all of that at smashamash.com. Welcome to the Neo Renaissance. Please click our links, support the channel with a like, a subscribe, maybe press the notification bell. Maybe you'll even be aware when we put up a video. Who knows? Maybe our videos will actually appear in your feed. If you want to make sure they appear in your feed, all you got to do is head to the Smash team and click on posts, and it'll have all of our major releases right in one convenient link. Give Smash staff a raise by picking up some merch. Proton Flux flatlined over the past 3 days. Sunspots are underperforming. However, we do see a background level of C-class X-ray output. You see that right there? That's a flat line right there, and it is above the level of C. So when we're at solar minimum, we get excited about B-class flares. Now we are in a C-class general output of X-ray flux. Anyway, no major flares. Again, sunspots are underperforming. We are sort of expecting to see some major flares. A great wavelength to view those major flares would be 94 angstroms. And I mean, check out the area around sunspot 3011. It's Jason Voorhees' sunspot. It was named on Friday the 13th. And I have a feeling there's going to be a major flare coming out of that region. The second likely suspect would be this group right here. So we'll be keeping an eye on that. And when I say eye on, well, pardon the pun. Next, a star chart. It's from in-the-sky.org. If you want to make your own, just put in your zip code. This is what's going on above our head in Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania. By the way, did you get a load of the eclipse last night? If you did, let us know. Drop us a line. Maybe send us an Instagram message. We'll feature your imagery. If you have imagery of last night's lunar eclipse. There's some imagery from Uruguay. It's Christian Novalex 87. Shout out to Christian Novalex 87. Your Instagram page just got featured on our daily space weather video. Maybe we'll follow. So make sure you follow us on Instagram as well, instagram.com/smashamash. And we've got all kinds of information there you won't see anyplace else. Updates in terms of how many miles we rode and so on. How many miles I rode, I should say. Smash staff was not there on the handlebars. Next, the solar system forecast. I hope you enjoyed your full moon. It was a flower blood moon eclipse or something. Flower ultra blood moon of death or something like that. Cheers. Here's a forecast for the solar system. As all the planets organize themselves on one side of the solar system, people will be frightened unnecessarily about this. Let's do the 1 week forecast. That's where things will be. In a week, we'll finally have a crescent waning in 1 week. Next, we'll show the coronagraphs, and I think things are mostly clear here. Soho Lascaux C2 on the right, located at Lagrange point 1. Stereo A coronagraph, located at Lagrange 5, here on your left. Don't be surprised to see some coronal mass ejections coming in the following days. Also, we are sort of anticipating some major flares, especially from the area around sunspot 3011. That's about where we'll have to close things out. And thanks for tuning in to the Smash News Network Least Busted Name and News. May that solar wind be at your back. Opinions expressed in this video, not necessarily the opinions of Smash News Network Least Busted Name in News.